Today I'm going to be making some healthy, environmentally friendly chicken nugget noodles without any chicken. These are the ingredients that we're going to need from this. I bought all of these in Dillon's, but you can buy these things in other shops too. The main source of starch here, the base of the meal, the sort of the half of the meal, is going to be Korean buckwheat noodles. These are low in fat and they're a good source of protein and starch to give us energy. We're going to use some frozen peas and some frozen corn. Because it's frozen, it traps in all of the nutrients, and I particularly like the Bird's Eye brand. They taste the nicest to me. This is our kind of healthy, fresh, vegetable-y type stuff. I'm going to use soy sauce for flavor, and I am going to use this nutritional yeast seasoning also for a little bit of flavor. It's kind of got a nutty, slightly cheesy taste, and it's a great source of protein and vitamin B12. And this is the treat part of the meal. This is Gardein crispy tenders, chicken nugget without any chicken. Lots of protein in there. So these chicken nuggets, this is going to be like the treat part of the meal, and the way I calculate if there's too much fat in the treat part of the meal is I look at the total fat and I see, is it less than 10% of the product. So 2 pieces here, it says, is 51 grams in total mass, and well, 10% of 51 grams would be 5.1 grams. And you can see that the total fat of these is less than 5.1 grams. So this is a healthy, it's got a reasonable amount of fat in it for the treat portion. Okay, so I'm going to make one big portion of this. If you want more portions, then you can double or triple the quantities that I use here today. I'm going to take 3 of these crispy chicken tenders. That's 4. Here we go. These are frozen. You can find these in frozen sections of stores. And that's them there. What I am going to do is I'm going to set these off air frying, which is a bit like grilling, so it's going to be a bit noisy when I turn this on, and I'm going to do that for on each side, maybe about 7 minutes on each side. I'm going to keep checking, and when they start to turn a nice darker brown color, that's when they taste the nicest. So let's turn this on here. You can either grill or air fry. It's best not to fry in oil, because as soon as you start frying in oil, then you introduce unhealthy fat that you don't need. Next, I've got a small saucepan here which I've half filled with water, and I am going to pour into this just a few of these corn. I don't need many. I'm going to pour in a few peas like that. I don't need many. And then I'm going to put this onto high. Then I'm going to put that on high, and I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'm just going to wait a few minutes until that starts to boil. So these are Korean buckwheat soba noodles. They have an unusual flavour and I really like them, but they kind of have this little kind of twang to them. If you're not sure that you like those, then you can get these ones, which are just standard wheat noodles, organic, Soman, and they're made by the same people and they're both healthy, low fat, got some good amounts of protein in them, and they both taste nice, but these are a little bit less flavorful, more like traditional American style noodles. Okay, so the water with the peas and corn is now boiling. I'm going to turn down the heat so that it just continues to simmer. I'm going to take one of these packets of Korean noodles, and you just pull off the paper from it there. It's a good portion size. What I like to do is break them in half like this just before I put them in. It just makes it a little bit easier to eat. And we're going to now set the timer for 4 minutes. Push those down, make sure they're all separated out, and that will come back to the boil, and we're going to time for 4 minutes. And let's see what they look like in about 4 minutes. Okay, so the chicken nuggets have been cooking for about 7-8 minutes. They're starting to go a little bit brown and crispy around the edges, so I'm going to turn them over. And again, I'm grilling these or air frying them, so there's no added oil. I apologize for how dirty my oven is here, my cooker. I'm going to put those back in, and I want them to be a little bit brown and crispy on both sides. That's what I'm aiming for. Okay, so the noodles have been cooking for 4 minutes. I'm going to drain out the water. Very carefully, because this is very hot. We don't want to burn ourselves. And I'm just going to leave these now in the saucepan with the lid on until the chicken nuggets are completely ready. Okay, so these are nice and brown on both sides, sizzling nicely. They're cooked enough for me, a little bit of crispiness on the outside. So I'm going to take these out, put them on my plate, like this. Okay, well, I thought I was videoing, but I wasn't. I took these chicken nuggets out and I chopped them up a little bit. I've put the noodles on top. Now what I'm going to do is take some of this nutritional yeast. Now, you don't have to put this on. I personally like the flavour. It's completely up to you whether you do or not. This particular one is quite mild, but other brands are very, very cheesy. So you'll just have to experiment a little bit with that. And I like to put on some soy sauce. But again, it's up to you. You don't need to. There's a bit of soy sauce, and that's the finished meal.